Hey Steve, can you hear me? Okay, and I was able to allow you to talk, but not officially promote to panelists, so yeah, maybe try it again. I just emailed you a direct link. Oh, I'm talking to Steve. I was trying to get in on the way. I was like, oh, wow, so the town looks great.
Yeah,
Everybody seems excited about it.
weekend was supposed to be decent weather so far.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be pretty nice.
Yeah, so that could be helpful.
This provides a really good recording
Oh, that's good.
too, yeah. And they've been better. I think it's helped to move the laptop closer.
Here we are.
We're recording on just. Okay. Hey Steve. Oh, he's still connecting. Hi.
Hey, Jen.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing good, thank you.
Okay, so I can hear you really good.
Good.
Oh, good, I'm in a place where I can't be seen now.
You good?
Good morning, Steve, it's Mary.
Hi, Mary, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing good, thank you.
By chance, like a month ago, not that it'd be here now, a Harley coffee. Oh, okay.
Oh, did we find one?
Okay.
Well,
No, I just,
I'll keep my eyes open.
it's got a ton of gravel road, you know? It's
Yeah.
working and this morning I'm looking all over.
I have one of those. Taking my kids to school with hell on our monkeys. And the only place I can go to school and I have to. Yeah. Can't see it.
Thank you.
Right. Join the rip and the rap.
What's in the next group? It's like that. Steve, Zoom. I see that. Okay.
Morning, I can't see a thing, right? I didn't, so we my eyes.
We'll give it a minute.
Calling Kevin.
Okay, we got the board.
We do have one.
My board.
I think it's Justin this morning.
Yeah, he's been around a lot there.
Yeah.
I know, you had a really long conversation with him.
Oh, apparently my kids are watching something on YouTube. Apologies, fix that up. What is happening here? Oh my God.
This is not something to raise. I know. Fun is not, you know.
Right now, right?
Soon enough.
Okay. I heard the door, so I'll give it a second. See who's coming up. Okay, all right, well, maybe.
Oh, you know, maybe after this, not the next meeting minutes, but for the future.
Yeah. And,
Definitely has present. Yeah.
thank you.
We'll have to figure out how
Yeah.
to.
I mean, I mean, it's good.
Oh,
I mean, console.
There's Paul.
There's Carl.
as we live and breathe, and we do live and breathe.
Hey, you.
What?
I heard you were here. It's the last sweater that's the sweater you were wearing last time I saw you.
No, I only have two anyway.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
You want to slide up here, Kevin? Or?
All righty, I'll get started.
No, I'm not gonna- Well, more warmth. Did you start? I'm so sorry.
No, I did not. I heard the door, so I waited.
Good. Thank
You are good to go, no worries. We're having a Monday on a Wednesday. It's Wednesday, December 7th at 8:03 a.m. and I call this meeting of the Georgetown Business Promotion Commission to order. And can I have a roll call, please?
President.
Well, vote.
Here.
Commisison,
Here.
Chairman Cooper.
Here.
Commissioner here.
We have one amendment to the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, sorry, it's virtual. Pardon.
I'm here.
We do have one amendment to the agenda, and that is the resignation of Steve. I'm just gonna do that for a minute. So can I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Agenda is approved. Do we have any audience business?
We do not.
Very well. Any new and exciting things happening with businesses in our community?
Silver Spring Tap, did we mention
Thank you.
last-
Yes, congratulations on Silver Queen Tap.
Yeah, she's not here.
Fair enough.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's along the accolade.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll just get right into the fun. Manager marketing and events updates.
Oh, So many things that day. Well, the banners are here. I have them. I don't think that there's any kind of agenda to put them up just yet. Get through Christmas decorations and have them not kill me. From all of that, because they've done such a wonderful job with it, all the decorations and everything that they've done. But I do have the banners, so they can go out whenever we are ready to put them up. I'm just kind of gonna follow this. Wayfinding signs. Kevin and I took an exciting golf cart ride to look at all the signs in Georgetown, and it might have almost fallen out of the golf cart like 3 times. But it was super interesting. We saw lots of signs we really didn't even realize that we had or that were wayfinding signs. You've been extra busy, so I don't expect anything more than just that update. Is that we've done it, we took pictures, we took notes, and we're working on it. And we're gonna put together like a PowerPoint type presentation, maybe for next.
I think that's possible.
For the next meeting, we have the intel, we just need kind of go over what it all means and how it works for us and what all of that looks like, but we're definitely on it. As far as Winterfest and the pond hockey tournament go, that's in the works. We have another meeting on Monday. My vision for Winterfest this year was to move it entirely to the lake. I am told the ice can be maintained for a day. We can have our pond hockey tournament on the lake. We can have vendors on the lake, but it's still in its early planning stages, working with CCMRD and with Craig and Kevin Craig to try to figure out what that looks like, but I'm totally open to feedback on that idea. February 25th.
23rd.
Yes.
Are the pond hockey tournament and Winterfest the same day?
Yes, it's like Georgetown's Winterfest with the CCMRD pond hockey tournament. Everything. 3-way partnerships, a struggle, as you will, in partnerships for that event is how I'm envisioning that to play out right now. But again, it's in its early stages, which is good. That's where we want it at this point. But I'm happy to take any questions or feedback or ideas. Right now we have the pond hockey tournament. I have several vendors. Maybe your DJ would like to come back and play with his equipment and tech. I'm toying with the name of Winterfest.
That's actually.
If we call it out, it'll stay away. Those are all the kind of ideas. We've got ice sculpture participants, people that know how to do that and are willing to do that. Food, beer, coffee. You look like you.
Once in a while, we get the wind sail on the ice out there on the lake.
Who do I call to make that happen?
Well, exactly. I mean, if that's what we're pushing, or if that's the, kind of slant we do. I don't know, people just show up with their personal gear. It's not, I don't know if that black diamond ski, I don't know if they run stuff like that. You know, I don't remember last year, but.
I talk about
That's right.
Stand up there, small, put your feet down.
They don't really play, it's like, but I mean, in the past, I've seen.
That would be cool, like toy with the idea of kites. I mean, just other things that can embrace the, I think it's the gentle mountain breezes.
The guy that he was connected somehow to CCMRD, his last name is Friedel. He came up from Evergreen, and what's Friedel's son's name? Carl Friedel. He owns a place down in Evergreen that rents out, all that kind of type of gear, more for, well, water and you guys.
What's the thing?
His name is Carl Friedel.
Carl.
And he was one of the events at Gavin's with CCMRD,
Cool, so you were correcting the words.
yes.
Okay.
If he doesn't have, if he doesn't personally have them, I bet you he would know somebody up here that could even if it's just, you know,
Sure.
presence and not. Any,
Right.
so, okay.
No, that's good. That's kind of what I'm looking for. And just it's early stages again, and I want it to be, but I want to get it wrapped up fairly quickly. This will be our second meeting on Monday to kind of feel things out and see how we're gonna make all of this work. What we need to do for permitting on the lake and, just get that together.
Do you need any marketing or images?
Probably.
Okay, I have an
I mean,
image
always welcome.
of people skating on the lake that's probably 100 years old.
Nice.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
So,
Cool.
Like last year I used like a stock image of people skating on a lake. People skating on our
In
lake.
Wisconsin.
It's
Right.
local, it's local.
Minnesota.
Skating on the lake, and it's a pretty cool photo. I'll send it to you if you can use that.
Yeah, I love that.
You know,
Well,
just give
the
credit to the museum.
Will the rest of them run out skates?
They will run out skates like they did, I mean, it wasn't successful last year because that was like the worst weather day ever, but the concept was successful. So all of that, there'll be, I think, we're talking like 8 teams of 8 for the pond hockey tournament. It could grow. We have plenty of space to make it bigger if we make it bigger. That's kind of where we're starting.
How many people are on a team for a pond hockey tournament? 5?
4. It's like 4 on 4.
4 on 4, yeah, okay, that's what.
4 on 4. So that is what I'm working on for Winterfest and pond hockey. Christmas lights.
They look beautiful.
Except
look
for one person and super successful and happy and all has been well.
The one, there's one pole at the end of the block that's out.
Okay.
We contacted Excel. They are aware and we
It's an
can't,
excellent thing.
yeah, it's like we'll come out when we come out kind of
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
And it's not a bulb change, there's something in the pole that they.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's no power.
Because they've checked it and checked it.
The Christmas
I know, right? It's that one bulb.
Like
It's always
one bulb
one
goes up and it goes up. Something
Well,
good.
I'm sure they've been caught off guard by the phone call. If we went so last minute, it would have been.
Right.
Looks great.
The roundabout looks so nice.
I give Kevin props every time I see him. I mean, I gave him the, no, I know.
Yeah.
Kevin.
Props every time I see him because I literally get texts, email, Facebook messages that tell me what a great job he did with the roundabout. And I mean, I gave him the vision, but he really ran with it. And I am pleased with how lit up it is and welcoming when you come into town.
It looks great.
I think it was great.
The whole town has stepped its game up this year. I'm very, very proud of all of us.
Yes, everybody that was a part of that, I appreciate you so much. The floating tree is also a huge success. People love that tree. It has been requested that the lights come on earlier. Craig can attest, turn the lights on now. We want to take pictures. So that was the request we got during Christmas market. They come on about 5:20 with the eye, but I think Scooter's working on trying to get them on maybe for the whole weekend, so you don't go off at all. So as soon as it's cloudy enough, somebody's saying.
Steve, I heard you unmute.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I coughed and my computer has frozen is the bad news. The good news is it's frozen where I can talk to you and I can hear you talk, so I'll
Well,
try
we
to.
can see you moving, so
You are not frozen.
you're not frozen. We're, go ahead, sir. Oh, you didn't have anything?
No, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're good.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I cannot mute myself and unfortunately I coughed.
I see, got it. I understand now.
Gesundheit.
Well, just like wave frantically if you want to jump in, as we're talking about Christmas lights. No, I think it looks amazing. I think you guys did a fantastic job and I will even say that Strauss Park, all things considered, looks really, really good for what we're working with.
Hold on.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Credit to the contractor.
yeah, so well done on the Christmas lights for sure. I would love to see us next year try to expand towards the lake.
We would as well.
with some
That's
day
the next
water.
plan. I mean, we have some That was a plan, but some of the decorations that we were going to use to kind of expand on Argentine got used in other places, and that's okay. That's part of how they made it bulk up and look the way they made it look in town.
Which is good.
Which is great, and I'm fine with that, but that is definitely the plan, is to keep expanding this down Argentine all the way to the roundabout at some point.
Yeah.
There are 18 light posts on 6th Street, there's 38 on Argentine, and we do not have power on those light posts to light them the way we can light these. So that is something we need to address. We could have made it festive during the day, but it was never gonna be lit at night, at least the way it stands right now. So that,
Those were all wired though with a J box at the bottom so that outlets can be added.
they can be added, it just needs to.
Yeah, and I was told that already. Yeah, thanks, Greg.
That needs to happen. So, and as far as the tree line goes, Parks stepped up this year. They did not leave me with the entire thing. And I appreciate all that they did. They did a great job. Everything was really handled. I just assisted where I could to help them get it done, but they really provided the infrastructure for the whole lighting. And I love the lights on the stage. Last year, the kids were in the dark. We really couldn't see them. At least this year we could see them and hear them. And I think we still need to hear them more. Like microphones need to be added, or something needs to be added to that stage so we can really hear them. But it was great. The feedback on that was also really good. So I don't have anything else to. That's right.
What's that?
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't there either. I was at work, but I heard it was amazing.
It was the complaints we had last year seem to have been addressed this year. Not that we didn't have the blind leading the blind running it, which was essentially what we had last year. Scooter and I have never seen it before. But it seemed to have been very favorable. Christmas trees. I'm exhausted.
Hang on, I just want to make sure nobody else has anything on that.
I just want to circle back to that, the sound. So that was Jake doing the sound, right?
Yeah,
If you put a note in there for next year, if you just, I don't know if we can afford to get the equipment at the library yet. But just remember to ask him to contact me, because we have the microphone levels at the school to better handle a choral ensemble than Jake might, which is more designed for bands.
okay.
And then that would expand your sound a little bit before we invest all that money into it. We've already invested in one part of town, so we probably could ask, but I'm sure we can loan it out if I can get permission.
I don't know if the school board would sign off on that. We'll see. I'm joking.
Other school,
Oh, other school, sorry. I was joking. I thought you meant.
another
We
school
have
for
it
that
too.
school.
Old school.
Okay, the old-
We have stuff too. That's
Yeah,
what, that's why it's
And it's all in carry out packaging and stuff, so I can, anyway, whatever.
It's easy
But if
to,
you make a note of that, because I will not remember and I will not offer it unless I'm asked.
okay, note made, and I appreciate that thought. I think would make, it's a tiny little thing, but I think it would make.
Yeah, because we're putting all our money aside right now at the library, but also stage things that you guys start thinking about, because I may be able to throw some of that stuff in if we ever do the renovations over there at the school, or the library rather. There's some things I want to do at the stage, like heat was promised to me a long time ago, so it might be nice to do that too.
He would be amazing. I mean, it would solve a lot of our musicians.
I would love a system. I've seen it at a restaurant nearby. There's this really cool system that they have on a wall, and it heats this patio that normally you would not be able to sit on. It's really pretty.
I don't know. The other thing I will say is that the school, some staff at the school really stepped up with getting the kids ready.
That was definitely known. I mean, and recognized. It was a whole different thing than last year's.
We've always had an amazing community member who really had a passion for it, come to the school every day and work with the kids, and that wasn't able to happen. And so some staff did it, and they did a really good job. So
I thought it was night and day from last year all around, as far as all of that. So yay for everybody. I take no credit for any of that tree lighting. I just supported them. They really pulled it off on their own, and that's good because that's their thing. And that's what they want to do. School and parks. Are we going to move on to Christmas trees? Christmas trees make me tired. So 2 weekends, I spent up at Silverdale with the wonderful assistants of the fire authority. They were beyond amazing in their commitment and dedication to seeing that through. I had to leave last Sunday, I had a fever of 102. I finally said I have to go, and it was just about a half hour that they had to take over, but they were awesome. We sold, I think we're just under $2,000 in tree sales right now, which is pretty awesome. We have roughly 25 trees still in the charging station lot. I put on social, and Jen and I will send out an email today to let people know if they want to get a tree today, tomorrow, Friday. I'll meet them anytime to pick out their tree and pay. They don't have to wait till Christmas market if that works better for schedules. I really am committed to seeing that these 25 trees get sold or given away. Let's call it 24 trees. I'm holding one for the wreath program for the library. So they needed trimmings and to make their wreaths tonight and tomorrow night. So I promised them one large tree for that. They wanted trimmings, but nobody really needs any. I mean, people just cut them down and they drag it away, and there's not much left over. And if it is, it's way out in the woods in Silverdale. So not something we can easily collect. But now they are all here. They'll be available Christmas market. I have 2 volunteers for the weekend, 1 for Saturday, 1 for Sunday. I can definitely use another or 2. It's hard for me to get down there. People like to park in my driveway during Christmas market. So even trying to get a car out was challenging for me to get down there, but not yet.
I know.
You moved it when I told you to. But for the most part, I had no challenges getting back and forth, and I have a lot going on. So obviously during Christmas market, but the more volunteers I have, the better. But it really is like 1 or 2 person job. It's not a big deal. It's just to collect the money. People pick up their trees, they put them in the back of the car and they go. Hopefully the secondary push on social media and this email will help. I really do want to see the rest of these trees go. If we do not sell them, I'm open to giving them to families that maybe cost prohibitive to have a tree. Anything you can think of that is a good use for the rest of these trees. They're beautiful trees.
I'm over Diane.
I did, and I will again with the mittens program. She may have some insight into where those might be best served. But if anybody needs a tree or knows where one would be well served, happy to do that. The 2 that are leaning up against the annex side right now, like 14 feet tall. And I have told people you don't have to take a 14-foot tree. You can cut it smaller. These are huge trees. And we have saws and we have twine and we have all the things that we need. So I think to sell roughly half the trees that needed to go in this fire mitigation project for year 1, and as fast as we threw it together, I consider it to be a huge success.
Have we gotten any press on this from the Courant?
No.
I think it'd be a really good story.
There was a press release, but yes, and a selectman had a very specific blurb about how she wanted that seen in the current. So I sent that piece with a little extra out yesterday,
Okay.
but I agree. And beyond that, I mean, I sent a press release that went beyond the current, so it would be, it's a great story
Yeah,
for.
well, there's public benefit because you're creating a safer situation, so I think that's really key.
I agree, and we've certainly had some call, Jen had a call from someone who was really concerned, and we're just whacking trees down in Silverdale. And the fire authority does a really great job of explaining it. They did it up there to every single person who came in to get a tree. They thanked them, they explained what they were doing for the environment and how it was impacting. And that was hugely helpful. My social media blurb was small. I didn't want to get too wordy on the fire mitigation part of it, but just explaining that this is a partnership with the fire authority. So, but yeah, hopefully we can potentially get more press on it. Because I think it's great, and people ask if we're going to do it again. And I mean, from the fire authority's perspective, they haven't cut down in 80 years up there. I've learned more about this than one was ever thinking I would learn, but it's good for at least 4 to 5 more years to keep this where they need it to be. So
Good job.
that's what I know about trees.
No, I think it seemed like it was successful on multiple fronts. There was a lot of, on social media, Evergreen in particular, their group posts a lot and I commented on those posts.
Yeah, I don't know why it didn't occur to me to join that community group prior to this particular,
I'm not gonna say
Project?
public record,
but I got more love from the Evergreen group than I did from any Clear Creek group. And we also tracked almost every person that came to get a tree. Where'd you hear about us? Where are you from? I mean, it was as far as Parker and way Denver, mostly social media, some from the print ads. We had a print ad that went into the Conifer paper, the Golden paper, the Evergreen paper, and the Current. So I got feedback from all of those print ads, and it was like $400 to put it in all 4 of these papers. The feedback was great. The social media reach was great. It was really fun to be able to track that. And to see, we had some that came from different fire departments just because they knew it was like the Aurora Fire Department, for example, because they knew it was a fire mitigation project and they wanted to support that. So I think all those things are super valuable information.
It's not necessarily a huge deal, but I was gonna mention maybe putting it up on the website as an upcoming event. Cause it's not on there.
Not on the website. I know, because I get a little feedback from the website. But yes, I will put it on there for this.
But it's awesome. Does anyone else have anything on the tree mitigation? I did see Cassandra join. Hi Cass, how are you?
She's muted.
She's muted.
She's probably 50%.
That's fine. Okay, cool. Christmas market. Let's talk about Christmas. If we don't do that tent every year, we're done. That's my whole belief. It was amazing.
Fabulously.
I go on the tent, Mr. Brewer.
It was very good.
Yeah.
People really enjoyed it.
That tent is awesome.
Pop over.
Pictures.
Yeah, Mark Reynolds said if you didn't have a great Christmas market on Saturday, you probably should be in a different line of work.
I don't know how.
So I would agree with that assessment.
You're not selling something people want to buy.
Yeah,
Several merchants on 6th Street, they seemed extremely pleased, had good numbers, from Saturday. Sunday actually was pretty populated. We had,
Sunday thinned out earlier than
Yeah.
Saturday,
we had.
but that's pretty normal.
This weekend, right now, the forecast looks halfway decent. Feedback from the horse and wagon company, this woman took over or bought the business from the company that was doing it for years and years and years. And so this was actually her first one. If you didn't see the wagon, that wagon is really, it's red, it's bright, it's
So nice.
yeah, it really is. It's really sharp. She was beyond, her expectations and totally pleased. Not that this is new to us, but, apologize for pulling up 5 minutes late in the line was. So, yeah, all the vendors in both Ruth and Noel and Strauss Park. We're happy, we're hoping that the electricity comes on for Strauss this weekend. I guess when the tree went on and was lit in Strauss, then it was kind of like that, national anthem. But we had the generators and everything, and roof worked well. You had good business?
Yeah, I'm going to predict that we had our strongest day ever on Saturday.
Wow.
And this is my, I think, 13th Christmas market. I don't think we've ever beaten the numbers that we on Saturday, and Sunday was strong.
Yeah.
I do want to put on record all of the groups that cooperated to make Ruth and Noel possible. Town of Georgetown, they prepared the lot by grading it and putting down sand and gravel, and also keeping up with the snow prior to the event and doing some landscape work. Maybe even other things I didn't notice, but all those things were done for sure. The Colonial Dames for being open to this and giving permission for the use of it, by HDI. Hotel Paris Museum for the power that runs the blowers for the heat, and of course HDI for the brilliant idea of the execution.
To follow on that, HDI did, or Hamel House had a lot of people coming through. They had about 75, 80 people on Saturday and close numbers on Sunday. So that's, you know, I don't know how, you know, what your count was, but that was good, you know, from the Hamel House. I don't have counts from the Alpine Hose Museum. I know that was open. And to back that up, kudos to Road and Bridge guys, because they really stepped up. I know it was new, so this was a learning curve for us all. But I think when Saturday, the guys that were on duty and got caught up in the festiveness and the excitement in the town and the guests that were here, I mean, those guys were awesome. And they went, you know, above and beyond. And, you know, I certainly appreciate that, because, you know, we were running around all weekend long. So if the lights come on for the weekend early, let's include Friday too, because the sneak peek is still scheduled, you know, who knows what traffic will have.
Yeah, I can have.
Yeah.
Get on early, you'll get on.
Yeah, I mean, if they flip that switch, or, you know,
Did you see?
cover the eye, you know. Yeah, you know.
There you go. Oh, couldn't even yet, I covered, we just couldn't reach it.
A little patch.
Yeah, it was a little. I worried on my goodness for a while. We just couldn't get it up there to do it. Did you see the Facebook shout out to Charlotte and the Hose Museum?
No, I haven't had time to look at any kind of social.
I just want to point it out because it was really, it was a huge write up on the Hose Museum and how the 5 years was worth the wait
Yeah,
to be able to go in it and how amazing Charlotte was. So I just want to point that out.
it would be nice,
So I know.
it would be nice if between the town, okay, here's my dig, be nice if between the town and the fire authority that the furnace would work in the Alpine Hose. Because it's quite chilly in there, and we can't bring propane in there.
Speaking of the fire authority, what was the feedback?
Well, what was that?
We had a long meeting yesterday, but
I rode with them on Sunday or Saturday, and for about an hour. No, I didn't ride. I walked, you know, around and then on Sunday he asked would I do it again. I said no, and and I let Jen so that she could have the experience. Overall, it was great. He had, I mean, the only feedbacks that he had was more of like he was concerned the shops were over-occupied, the tent was over-occupied. There's some things he wanted to change because of egress, trying to get in and out. The band was kind of blocking the view, or, you know, the access or one of the exits. The tables or the vendors were too far in, they need to be pushed back to the edges. That, I mean, it was just kind of feedback like that. Overall, I just want to say this to you guys. The town was beautiful. I mean, for my first one, I thought it looked awesome. Jen, thank you for the lights. I was so nervous that we weren't going to be ready, and you did a great job on that. Whoever was on the committee for the white lights, I know that was a risk, but it was, it's historically, it really does look great.
Nice.
We have had one negative feedback that I've gotten about 3 or 4 emails consistently, almost every day. Hates it, it's the worst thing ever. But that's one person. Overall, it was great. Also, there's one, but I was in the tent, and this one guy said, "Oh, I heard you're the town administrator." And I was like, "Okay."
Manager on duty.
But he said, "I want to talk to you for a second." He goes, "I lived in Germany for a long time, and I take my kids to these Christmas markets because I'm trying to find something that would be so similar to our experience in Germany." And he said, "This by far was the most German European feel I have ever seen." And he just said, "I'm amazed. It's beautiful. The town is incredible. This is a place we're going to continue to come year after year now." So it was great. But the tent, I'm talking to people, they raved about it. Kelly is concerned about the tent. because now it needs a plan review, it needs, and like, there's a lot of things, he's like, this did not meet his certain criteria for emergencies and everything. But I also let him know that this is something that we're probably gonna be doing from now on. We've stumbled on a huge success, and so thankfully Strauss Park.
That's,
Yes.
you guys, having had the pleasure of standing outside in Strauss Park, freezing
Yes.
my, off, selling bratwurst. I've never, the people were so happy.
Yes.
And it was cool. So we sold for the school, we sold 767 bratwurst over the 2 weekends, or over the 2 days rather. So that was awesome. And one of the feedback that we were getting is that it was great because people were enjoying the experience because their food wasn't getting dusty.
Mhm.
They had somewhere to sit. They could mill around a little bit. Though I can see the crowd control being problematic. I know for us, our line was going back to your booth. And I could see the vendors in between were a little, I don't even know if they were frustrated, but it was kind of people were just standing there, and it was blocking access to the guy that was next to us in particular. I don't know how his day was. But I mean, all in all, people were the vibe was great. I would love to see, just on a side note, and this is just being petty, honestly, more background music when there's not live music, something that could do some ambient, sort of Christmas music, canned music of some sort. Because when the tent would get really quiet, which wasn't often, but you get these weird lulls where it would just get really quiet all of a sudden, you're like, something wrong?
And we talked about that and had some plan for it, and that just wasn't on the priority list.
For sure.
We already made some changes in the layout of the tent for this weekend and moved some vendors around to address some of the concerns that were brought up, but some other just,
And there will be.
He
some
also
sort of
probably had
occupancy.
a concern over our,
yeah.
he didn't like how we were doing our power at the school. And we were having to switch our warmers because our warmers kept blowing breakers. Our warmers also I think they were the warmers that you guys used.
Well, which we got from the Catholic Church, so.
So, yeah. So it's probably time. I think we're gonna upgrade this week.
You weren't running out of power either, were you?
No, we just ran it, no,
But
just our lights.
hopefully it'll be this weekend.
Yes, hopefully we will.
So we have a plan for 3 generators. We have 3 generators over there. Only 2 of them work. The 2 rentals do just fine. I think we used every outlet on there.
But-
The town generator doesn't work,
Okay.
So
They got
Luckily,
some-
the 2 that we rented seemed to back up give us the amount of power, and that was enough power, right? We're good for the 2 that we rented were enough.
well, they were enough the last weekend, but if the vendor Cabin Creek Brewery was planning on running some power and couldn't last weekend, but plans to hopefully this weekend, so we might be a little short. So those were the 2 generators those were the biggest ones.
Let's you and I, let's go over who had what going, and we can calculate the power demand, and we can figure
They
that
got
out.
another 72, but they have another 55 if we needed to rent that. I rented the 55 and the 72 for next weekend. That's what we had this past weekend. If we need another 55, they have that.
They were identical size. We'll talk about that out of this meeting. It doesn't have to
Just
be-
let me know.
Yeah.
The other thing that was super cool were the fire pits.
Yeah,
The fire pits all over, the placement of the fire pits, fabulous. I did hear a couple people have mentioned there was drama because someone started a bonfire.
That happened.
Yeah.
it was awesome. No, I didn't.
Because all the scrap wood that was thrown there by construction and even though everyone was told in Strauss Park that there wasn't going to be a fire, someone decided to light one anyway. Between Randy and I, we chose not to bring in the big red fire truck and put it out. And so it was monitored. There's no fire in the fire pit. I'm hoping that there's not going to be a fire in the fire pit this weekend because we, HGI, my other hat here, don't have anyone to monitor it. And all the wood that was left in Strauss Park from last weekend is now in the back of my pickup truck. So I didn't think I left it all in there because it wasn't gonna happen on Sunday. Yeah, the fire pits are great. People, the chairs and stuff, we pulled around them for the ambiance. People were around them all the time, taking pictures, just, you know. If there's no other good place to put more with the horse and wagon that, you know, go through. So I'd love to put one outside the room, but I'm concerned with how that, so we may see.
If you want to steal mine, you can.
Yeah.
I know that the fire pit in Strauss Park is not long for this world, but wasn't there like a cover or a lid, or did we just talk about that at one time? There's no cover or lid?
I've
Okay,
never seen it over there.
okay.
No.
Because when we had fire restrictions and fires were still being built in that, I think that was discussed briefly, maybe which just never executed, where we could like seal off that.
I do remember us talking about that a long time
You
ago.
remember that?
There wasn't one, that's why I had to shut down the fire and
Okay.
the sheep festival in 19 because I felt I was gonna burn down the town.
I mean, maybe Road and Bridge or, you know, has something that they can, you know, piece of metal, I don't know, a giant sewer cover would be great, you know?
Let's get it torn out.
Yeah, it's
They're
good.
gonna make it smaller.
If we close house this weekend, will you put one out? Then you can put one
We
outside,
could put
right?
one out on towels on the side, yeah, so apparently, fire and police finally agreed that it would be best to close off towns.
Nice.
To vehicle traffic, so we won't have barricades. Which I think will open up that visual that we tried to do over the last, I know. See, so when you create a cluster, you get everybody to come together.
Yeah.
Finally, 62. Yes. So I suppose we could put them. Yeah, we could probably put one on either side, or at least one,
Well, mine, if you know,
Yeah.
I get mine if you want.
so. Yeah, so we'll see what we can add and enhance this weekend. So.
It's great. The whole thing is great. Steve, do you have anything? I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah, what Ella passed to, and your end, because I wasn't able to really pay too much attention to what was going on in the merchant down there. You guys do well.
Well, you know, with Christmas market being more dispersed, the brewery did very well. We couldn't put any more people in the brewery if we wanted to. It was cold and breezy, so we didn't have a lot of people sitting outside. So it's nice that they would have had a tent to go and sit in. So yeah, I think, you know, I think overall with Strauss Park getting open, even before it's completed and everything, it was amazing to see the whole thing come together this year. And, you know, I congratulate everyone that's been involved with it, so.
Good, and just to point out, and thank you, Steve. You know, the original plan was one brewery was going to be in the Rue de Noël at the Alpine Beer Garden one weekend, and the other brewery was going to be in there the second weekend. And Steve opted to focus his concentration on your brewery and property by Strauss Park, which I think was great. And then allowed Cabin Creek to come in and fill that gap the first weekend. So thank you for allowing us to, you know, provide that opportunity to all the guests that came to Georgetown for Christmas market to drink in several places.
Hey,
They did.
They were bouncing. You could watch people move.
So we need to.
Well.
I do have just one more comment. So, the street barriers look phenomenal. It's nice to not have sawhorses out there and signs getting blown down and everything. Just a little minor point, but maybe not so minor. When the barriers go up, when people are setting up, or whatever they're doing, they're electing to drive on my sidewalk between the brewery and my building next door. I'm just afraid someone's gonna get hurt. I'm afraid the sandstone walkways that we invested in are gonna get damaged. So I don't know, Rick, if there's a solution for that. You know, if the pole was moved closer to the curb, you know, maybe, you know, it'd prevent a car width to get through between the buildings and the pole. But I think something should be done before something gets damaged or someone gets hurt. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to move the pole since it's already dug, but we probably can put something out so that the car couldn't drive any closer than that.
You know,
Well, unfortunately, then you're getting into the, you know, once again, ugly signs, ugly cones, and it is a pedestrian walkway, so I don't know. But whatever you guys think is appropriate.
I would just, for the morning, remove the bollard that's closest to Strasburg.
Yeah.
So vendors
People
can
go-
pull in there.
Let's see, they would go on the other
Just,
side.
yeah, just have that one removed until.
You can give directions to the vendors so that they
Well,
don't come in on.
There's also people that are even after, you know, when the fire pit was set up and people are walking around and sitting there, which I don't think they should have been doing it. There were still people driving on the sidewalk, driving right past the fire pit. And I assume they were setting up, but I have no idea. So.
One of those people might have been me as I was gambling around. If I can drive on, you know, because it's so great, like I, you know, can attest that at one point I didn't, so that's an the bill. But yeah, the placement of the bollard, but no, I think I have an easy solution with decorated traffic cones that we can keep moving through. So it doesn't look orange and Halloweenish.
It's gonna be every single event. Just get one bollard.
Well, it's not gonna be historic.
I think, yeah, but you've got to have a way for people to set up like this. I mean,
Well, they can't come in off of 7th though, because that's if vendors would actually follow the horse-drawn carriage route to come in and set up, because we have those bollards removed
Right.
for the horse-drawn carriage, then, but that's what you're suggesting.
Yes, they come up at 7.
Yeah.
And I will emphasize that, and we will blockade that, and I have no problem going over and being nasty. I have so many vendors that want to come back next year. I'm fine with.
no, go ahead, Paul.
So as the person who pushed for the bollards, this is going to be a problem at other events. And it's that sandstone does crack when you drive on it. That's why we have cracked sandstone all over this town. We need one more bollard. Don't worry about moving it. It would be less ugly to have a bollard sandwiched in not evenly than a cone that's decorated with Hobby Lobby crap all year long. We need another bollard. I'm sorry.
Sure, no, I hear you.
I pushed for these bollards that would look like this, and so that would be an even look. It would be something we could remove every year, although I wanted something that would be 4,000 pounds for everybody to move every week. But the reason for them was for uniform look and for things to look beautiful, so that we look like bigger towns than we are, and still keeping, but at the same time still keeping our integrity. By the way, they're beautiful, and I got to work with them at Sunday in the Park or whatever our event was. And thank you for getting those finally. That's amazing. But I think that's where Steve's going. Temporarily, great solution, right? Great solution on one side, but they're going to drive down that street.
Yeah. Well, Kelly also suggested other places that we need bollards too. So I
Like the town entrance?
Wasn't he?
So
Sorry,
I never said that, sir. I may take umbrage to that.
So he's gonna look at that, show me where other locations he would like to see bollards as well.
Fabulous.
And so, of course, I can't do anything right now because it takes time. It took us a while to get those in the first place. But for next year, absolutely, we'll have all that stuff correct.
Have them planned for the future. And
That's great.
the other thing is, Rick, I have about 10, my place is there. I have about 10 safety heaters at my at the visitor center because our heat went out, during all the recent craziness. So if you need that for the post station, temporary usage, and that you can turn them off at night, and you can even set them to go off so that you don't forget. So please, I don't think you need all 10, but please hit me up because we just got it really fixed.
Well,
Good,
okay, thank you.
Certainly.
So that it's not just in a place where the docent is standing until people come in, because
Yeah.
it'd be nice to be able to warm up that building a little bit. Because those are also, I mean, I'm sure you see it too, people are looking for places to get out of the cold when the cold is out there, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you white spaces, one's decorative, the other ones are just perfunctory.
I'll come and pick up with you, thank you.
My pleasure.
Can I just comment? I think this little debrief is awesome, and I'm sure we'll do it probably one more time in January, but can I suggest that we formalize the debrief, if you will, after our next meeting, and almost codify it so we've got that as a reference document moving, so we have long-term kind of fixes, and then the short-term stuff.
Well, this is great, and I will send out something to all of, from HDI standpoint and the vendors, the town input, and have some of the collected when I wrap up, that piece of it, which will then be timely to bring back in January.
And I'm sure Jen has a place where we can go in and we're accessing that file and knowing it's there and going back and getting it and then referencing instead of going, what were we doing? I think it would save us a lot of time and effort next year, like generator scrambles and stuff.
Well, I mean, based on the comments from Kelly and all our staff, because we kind of debriefed some too yesterday, and we believe this event is going to continue to get bigger. And so it's like we got to get out of the mindset that it's just a small thing. We're going to have to start.
We've never thought it was a small thing.
That's so hard.
Welcome. In a negative way. I'm just saying, get the mindset, this is a big event, and that we're gonna have to do preparations in a different way. Like one of the suggestions was have all the groups meet even beforehand so that we can get on the same team.
I just want the look you just gave to be the minutes. No, it's
My biggest fish. We put together a several-page document and turned it in to the town a couple of months in advance. And I wish it had been shared and had the benefit of that meeting, because a lot of this could have been addressed, I believe, ahead of time. And I'm personally frustrated that the fire department was out looking at that tent when it was, put on site.
Yeah, we're
And then it became an issue.
And that was the big bug of the conversation yesterday. It was shared, everybody had the information, it's just a matter of how to get them to absorb the information.
A special meeting, like,
Yeah, so we talked about let's have a planning meeting with whomever's organizing, if it is not town, and fire, police, whomever needs to be present, so we make sure everybody has signed up. I get it. Some of what they're saying is, of course, you can't always know until you see it, and I get some of that. If it's something new like the tent, or like we didn't, we have to see it up before we can know what the problems are. But we definitely could have addressed a lot of these issues.
What are the dimensions on that tent?
40 by 80.
40 by 80.
And yes, people are suggesting that we do bigger. I don't think we can do bigger, maybe 50 by 90, maybe.
Yeah. There's a little bit of room to grow,
Yeah.
but not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 to 15 feet lengthwise and maybe 10 feet widthwise.
Yeah.
I don't know how big they come. But the benefit right now, you can walk around the outside of the tent without walking through the tent, because there's sort of a nice walkway around it. We would eat into that,
But we'd rather have the people walk.
so they can walk on the street.
Yeah. Especially because Colin now.
And there are sidewalks. Yeah, and there are sidewalks. See, there's no sidewalks, so.
There's definitely the tent provided a really good advantage, and I mean, if it means that we organize with the fire authority a little bit ahead of time next year, so be it. And I mean, obviously BPC will support that.
Can Butler create like floor plan that could be reviewed by the fire authority, showing exits and location of blowers and all that sort of stuff.
Well,
We
I
can.
think
You
the,
can, okay,
I think the
Right.
setup, the way it is now, I mean, especially too, you know, where the generators are, the fire authority did move like the back door, the side.
I
door,
saw that.
And that was fine. I mean, it worked out, you know, and we had revised the floor plan a few times, you know, just for the layout of the vendors. And like I said, we're gonna review it again based on some of the feedback that they gave and that we've received from vendors, you know, just to try to make it a little bit smoother. I'm glad the generators and the propane were set up where they are. We certainly don't want, you know, we can't decorate those.
yeah.
But
Well, maybe one day we can do a lattice screen around those. It's not the worst thing.
yeah,
I'm thinking permanent power. If you're gonna do that over there, we'll
Or that.
do
There you go.
it. We'll do a drop in a panel over there someplace near the parking lot with the Dame's permission. And
Yes.
well, I was talking to you about how we could run, you know, because a couple of years ago, we had the 220 installed on the side of the town hall when in preparation for last year's, when we had the tents out on 6th Street here in front and to be able to run power. So we had, you know, but you know, how do you protect that in a professional looking way and a secure way so that people aren't tripping over that, you know, so.
Yeah.
But so Scott and I were talking, Scooter and I were talking about that too, you know, what the town can do in the meantime or off those power poles stuff, so.
Well, to jump backwards a little bit, back to wayfinding signs. One of our wayfinding signs is the sort of rustic wood in the parking lot that says public parking. And if we could upgrade that to match the green and burgundy cream signs and then have the power on the back of that. We could, you know, kill two birds with one stone.
Put it on our list.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm gonna propose that we have a, you know, better public parking sign there that matches everything else. So there you go, as we construct, it can all happen at. That's okay, cool.
That's good. All right. Anything else on Christmas market before we wrap up this topic?
It's happening again this weekend.
I'm shocked. All right, mission statement.
I've made no progress, I apologize. It'll be a New Year's resolution, how about that?
What did I do?
Is there nothing more from her?
From Jen?
Anything more for me?
Yeah, don't you have a report on the festival that you did with a bunch of groups last month?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. I thought it was odd that it wasn't on our recap. And then I was going to bring it up on my own and then we got so into Christmas market. Would you like me to back up to the Country Festival?
I didn't realize.
I think it'd be wise since there are multi-organizations that are involved.
And I did think about it this morning and apologize, and we got way into the Christmas market.
It feels like a very long time ago with.
It does.
It's like it's profusely, like.
It feels like 2 years ago to me, but
Oh, what's
everything.
One day in November. We had Big Country. Long time ago. Okay, let's talk about Big Country Festival. There were some things I really thought I loved about Big Country Festival this year. There are things I massively could have improved upon, and I apologize for those gaps. I know you look at me funny like that, but you know, I feel like that just could have been, it could have been more robust, but there were things I did really like about it. I thought just the change in having it on 6th Street was fun. The feedback was really good. The vendors, which some pulled out because they were really concerned about weather. I have a very hard time with merch vendors on 6th Street. If that's where we're holding them, they are very nervous about merch breaking, blowing away, without the cover of Strauss Park, which I don't really think provides so much, but they do. So it's not me, my thing is theirs. I did lose a few, and then there were a couple of flu situations. But we had food vendors that the feedback was really good. The food truck had an amazing day. They were concerned in the beginning. They loved it in the end. They thought it was more than worth their while to be there. They sold out of nearly everything. We kind of hunted as Georgetown Mountain Pub Lovers on my other hat to provide actual food because our actual food vendor was not going to be present. So we did hot dogs and hamburgers and chili dogs, and that was great. The feedback on that was good. I loved the fire pits. Kudos to that company. They're amazing to work with. I will invite them to any and every event that they want to be a part of. They say they do really, really well at events like that. All they asked us for in return to putting those fire pits there was to just let them sign up and be present. And the s'mores were a smashing success there. All the other things that are usual were great. The hokey pokey and the
Yeah.
go.
As one of the, so for my other hat, did you like?
Yeah.
I just
It's one of the partner organizations that I work for. We were really pleased. I mean, all I do is throw out some s'mores for myself, but we kind of were going status quo again, and we were trying to make status quo work this year and do Strauss Park, and because of the 3 years, how interesting it's been. I feel that it was highly successful, and I know that wildlife was the Colonial Dames of America for signing on to it. The library had a lot of visitation from children, so we were able to serve groups of people from all ages. We were incredibly busy at the Visitors Center, where the sheep were present this year, and that's where we do the archery. It looked this. I loved those fireworks, by the way. There's always room for improvement, and I think that we're going to have a debriefing meeting next month anyway, and a postmortem. But you did a great job, and I think you should acknowledge that. And I don't see a lot of glitches that were going into it, but I do see now that we have a solid base for good expansion, because previously I was worried about too much expansion without the foundation to support it. So I just wanted to talk about it to commend you, because I think you did a wonderful job pulling all those things together, disparate groups of things. And we tend to work as a team, but you actually made it feel like it was bigger. So I want to thank you very much for that. And I'll do it, Kevin, like I'm getting an award. Town of Georgia, just so you guys will remember who's involved in this now. It's the Town of Georgia, the three mains, so the Town of Georgia, Town, Parks and Wildlife, and the Georgetown Trust for Conservation and Preservation Incorporated. But now we have the Hotel de Paris Museum, the library. We have, I'm failing. Okay. Anyway.
Park.
Well, no, yeah, that's it. The Hotel de Paris Museum, the library, and we are also now starting to involve some Sixth Street businesses. I saw more buy-in this year than I've ever seen, and I had no one complain to me, which is the first thing I've ever been to ever. Including things I've hosted in my own house. This is the first one ever that I've not had someone with some kind of criticism. So anyway, thank you very much. And I just wanted to acknowledge the people that were involved in that. And I wanted to acknowledge your hard work. It was really good work. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't mean to be in any way disparaging. I thought it was a great event. I just hard on myself to make it even better. But it was nice to change it up and to have that sort of different view of what that can look like in a different space. Sometimes breaking outside of our comfort zone and not having the ability to use Strauss Park for things makes you be able to see a different side of what things can look like. And I think that's cool.
So, it also forced people to allow us to do what we wanted with people who have pushed back on things that we've always wanted to do, like street closure, things like that. The different structures have made people open their eyes and realize that some of the things they're holding on to aren't based in fact. So anyway, thank you very much.
I think I was down there and it was great. I got there a little late, so what I saw,
I made it work.
And then I cooked burgers for an hour on the street, and that was fun.
I guess you did.
I just walked by and said, "Do you need a hit?" Yeah, I don't know.
I'd be like, here, take this bite.
I was just sick trying to make s'mores.
That's fine. That's fine. No, it was great.
We
So
can get more people here next year.
Did we ever talk about chili cook-off while we were looking?
chili cook-off she pulled, remember? Oh, no, she did not. She pulled one
We
day.
did talk about it.
That's what messed me up. I'm sorry. She pulled one day.
I think $1,200 went to the, yeah,
Sorry.
Just would be covered.
She just did it 2 days.
It doesn't matter.
it was like $1,200 that went to GCAP, by the way.
And it's probably time we replace our chairman because she's running an amazing.
Whatever.
Oh, good. Time to do this report.
Great. So we mentioned Christmas lights already, and I'm still excited about it, and I love coming up in the evening just to see it, so I'm still raving about it. Parks, the ice rink has gone up this week, and it's in the process of freezing. So we are gonna let it sit for a couple days and try to get it where we want it, and then we're gonna come back and add another 4 inches of water, and then let that freeze. So kind of do it that way. It just helps speed the process much faster. That's really well. I noticed that some of y'all probably, I mean, I get complaints all the time, and I look at it as opportunities to help and advance our community. And so, but I know a lot of people are getting frustrated with road streets, and just to give you an update on that, we're putting concrete cans in there, but in the process, between 11th and 15th. So that's the area. In the process, the contractor called in for locates just to make sure before digging. You know, they came and marked everything, except that there's a CDOT fiber optic line right there. And they said that the line was abandoned. So they didn't come out. CDOT did? Yeah. So it's not a big.
They paid a lot of money for that abandoned line.
It actually is a line. You have a comment? Yeah, okay. So it is a line. It goes to the county's annex building, and it actually goes to your visitor center too.
Yeah, it's the line that it is an operable line.
Yeah.
CDOT no longer, CDOT actually has their lines out now. They have their own straight station now out there. We were talking about.
So they punted on that because.
So they're saying they punted on it as if it weren't working, but it's an active line. Please don't destroy it.
No,
It is not the county's main line anymore. We used to be the hub for the main line for CDOT and for the county. That's why.
well, the problem is once when they were digging,
Wow.
they hit the line, and it was buried only 3 inches deep. And so they had to stop and figure out what's going on, because then they did locates again and nobody came out. And so anyways, that project could have been easily finished by now, but they now have to go back and fix parts of it that were damaged. And so that should be happening this week. They should be fixing it. So then next week, ESI is the company that's doing the concrete work. They will come back and hopefully finish that project next week.
Who pays for the cost of the repairs?
CDOT is taking responsibility.
Okay.
So since they did get the locates, and the town would have been responsible for the contract. The contractor is really the responsible one. He's supposed to be doing that because we contract to them. So we're not going to be held liable or anything like that. So we're fine. And then on 8th Street, they will do the concrete pans and sidewalks on 8th Street, where Dick Collins lives. And Vivian or something, forgot her name. Dickie, that's it, across the street.
Yeah.
That's been in the works for a long time. That's a very hazard area. Water pulls up. Dick Collins actually fell and took him a year to get back from that injury. So
Yeah, we've seen the ice.
that's just a very hazard area. We're gonna fix that. In the spring, ESI will come back and do improvements, road improvements on, a lot of things. For some of the areas are Rose Street, in that same area, they're gonna fix. We're gonna do some drainage issues near the mill site, 15th and Rose. Curbs around downtown, we're gonna try to fix these as well. But we got a lot more projects in the hopper coming this next year. We did hire a code enforcement officer, so some of y'all may have seen that. His name is Tim Collins, and we did a write-up this past Friday, put it in a newsletter just to keep it going. And that's just, we need one. We haven't had one in a long time, and it takes a lot of slack. It takes over a lot of things that I cannot do, just don't have the capacity. So we are still probably going to be hiring another officer at some point next year. We have the budget for it. It's just hard to find one. So that's staff related, we're doing well. In the budget, we also plan to move you to full-time. We're looking at June-ish, around that time, 6 months in. That gives us 6 months of the lodging tax to accumulate and just kind of be prepared of what, anything legally and things like that, if things decide to take a different turn. So we are prepared to not spend money yet.
We also, on that lodging tax, not to interject, but the way that that tax is collected, it's a quarterly basis tax. So the first time the town will even have a deposit from it is probably like, what did Mary figure out? It's like May 1st, right? Kind of. Because the tax will go January 1 to March 31 with the collection date of April 20th.
That was one option. There's a couple of different
Oh,
motions that she was going to take, but until that money is actually collected and starts to build up to be able to support our program.
I know you guys are already through with the budget, but I mean, that's just a cash flow question. If you're not talking about that much money to make the position permanent the first 6 months of the year, you're gonna get the money. It's just a cash flow question, and you can't tell me that you don't have probably a grand total of $8,000 to cash flow, the delta between her part-time status and full-time status in those 6 months.
But she is full-time now. Jen is full-time. She's just under contract.
Okay,
So we're not.
So they're-
The hours, it's just a matter of the benefit package and switching her over to a staff employee. And I don't mean just, okay, but so that just gives the town, sorry, I'm jumping on.
No, you're fine.
I'm kind of passionate on this monthly tax issue.
Well, there's other things too I want to mention about it. We have to create an ordinance in order to do it. And so that we're in the process of working on a lodging tax ordinance. Jerry's working on it. And we would like to go ahead and get that as soon as possible. Second is, we have created the forms in order to do self-collecting. And then we created a letter to go out to all the vendors. And that's already been mailed out. So the letter and the form so that they can start self-collecting. And then the other is we've also had a letter sent to the Department of Revenue because they had asked us, what are you going to do? And so now that this is passed and the county, that when they collect, it's through the Department of Revenue as well. And we're going to self-collect. So that's why we had to create the form. So we're moving forward and doing everything that we're supposed to. So that is, it's very smooth right now. So we're excited about that. But that's the lodging tax. Any other thoughts about that? Okay.
I mean, yes,
So many.
yes, but no. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think big rocks.
What's going on with all the street tear up on roads between 5th and or 7th, 6th and 7th? And
Yeah.
behind Luchas and.
Luchas is tying into the main and this is a sewer line, water line, and this is one of those kind of things that we should have not allowed. But we allowed and they had setback after setback. And now the ground is frozen. And this is going to be like this now. What we found out in our staff meeting, probably until spring. So it's going to be more because they can't fix the road during winter.
Construction projects.
I know. And this is where the contractor asked us, and without much thought, we allowed it. And it was like, we should never allow that, which is we're going to create standards that, what kind of projects, where's our cutoff? And there should be a cutoff of doing any kind of road projects, which is why we didn't allow the Rose Street one. But for some reason, I don't know what happened. I'll take responsibility. And it was an oversight that we should have caught that dropped. And so did not realize that it was to this magnitude of how big this project has turned into. And but it's all because they're trying to tie in new lines, there's old lines. These lines were clay, and it was really rotted out. So when it came back to it, it was like, this is what it's gonna take to fix. So. And it's even thinking to this restaurant probably won't be open for another 2 or 3 years. This could have easily waited until the spring, but it is what it is.
Is it impacting any of the construction and tearing that up? Is that impacting any of the other businesses in that little stretch there by bleachers? I mean, not like Ophelia is a big water sewer consumption, but no, I think it sticks. Like those businesses just to the west of Lucian. I can't imagine what those businesses are off the top of my head. I mean, it's impacting the.
Maybe I haven't driven that road in the last 2 days. I knew they saw cut, did they actually like bust it up?
Yeah, they did. There's.
Oh, really? I don't want to worry about really a shop international. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
It'll all be fine.
I've not heard any complaints yet on business owners.
Okay,
Well, Dusty Rose is just for sale, so.
well, I meant more on 6th Street, behind, not just in front of where that street tear up is, but.
People will figure it out.
It's just Shop International, nothing else to really worry about, right?
It's like it was just Jack.
Going back to the Christmas market, I had a thought too, or just a comment really. As I was talking to some of the vendors, what I heard through a couple of them, that they were having trouble with the internet and doing transactions. And so I wonder if that's something that we should consider doing, some kind of public Wi-Fi spot right there in Strauss Park.
I think it's covered.
Like 1,000 times.
Did it not work?
So they
Did
share.
it actually not work?
I cannot connect from Strauss Park to here,
But from the 10?
to the town.
I didn't hear it from the tenants. I heard it from Strauss Park. That was.
Gone to the
I
library.
connect to the library in Strauss Park, and that's what we can tell vendors to do for now.
Okay.
But I do think that you're right, we should have a more centralized.
Because I was told that they were running over to China's place, trying to connect to hers to get a transaction, and I was like.
What vendors should be aware of is that if you are running transactions on some type of device, they store.
Some of them, so we just got that Square,
Yeah,
and the completely touchless one doesn't store them. Only the town hall can.
You can't tap or use Apple Pay with the stored ones. We
Yeah.
discovered that.
Really?
The one that plugs
Yeah.
into the device
You-
will
you-
store
you
all
take-
day, but the completely wireless Bluetooth in one, it's really hard. It can be done, but it's not as easy as
I
you have to plug in.
I
it's a
think,
plugin work, because we never, all of ours download it with the school when we run ours, but.
I think we should put on our radar as a BPC project to do free Wi-Fi downtown.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's why.
That should really
Free
happen.
public access Wi-Fi.
That should happen in general.
Yeah, I pushed for that 10 years ago or 11 years ago, and it was shot down by a couple of businesses, but we have big enough of a coalition now. I think it's fine.
If it makes money for the town, it will.
I can't do my watching on place minutes, my Wi-Fi. they-
That's all I need to hear.
Well, I brought it up because, just want to hear the support, if this is something that.
Absolutely.
Town has Wi-Fi.
Okay.
The library would be one of your big connections in order to get granting for that. I would talk to Libby. And then we could get a whole group of people together that might be able to be in partnership with it. There's already a movement. I know there's already something going on. You probably were approached with it for running, some high speed wire through here for anyway in certain hub buildings. We could make that a contingent
Yeah.
of being part of that, and we could run the towers from the various businesses. Like I happen to know of a really big business. I'm sorry, I'm getting so passionate, and then I'm going to end up being very quiet for a minute. I haven't talked. This is the first time I've talked to anybody in a week and a half. I know a very tall building with a very tall bell tower. That if it could be unobtrusively placed, you've got one of your stations there, and then I know a bunch of little
Yeah.
things that they call them, like they're towers in this town all over the place that might be very careful about what you're doing with it, and we might have to go through a 106 process. But if we put that in the 106 process in the first part of it, with this other thing that's about to happen, then we're on board for it. It may take a few years, but at least we can get going. I'm sorry, that was my statement.
That was me trying not to sneeze all over everybody.
Project Thor, which you refer to, and that's with the county, it's a partnership. We are almost finished all of the engineering and we did put a I don't know what you call it, a little station at Strauss Park.
Did you get?
Yeah.
Where it's actually-
handheld or something like that, I think is what they called it. It's where you put it in the ground and it's there for future use.
Yeah.
And so,
So the thing about Thor is they've asked it to assess our buildings, but they have not asked our permission to use our buildings yet, and there are going to be contingencies with that.
yeah, no, this is early on.
Yeah, very early.
Yeah.
And this is, by the way, so Project Thor is something that I was working on with the county, the previous county Wi-Fi with the visitor center. That's how I happen to know about our fiber. Them not caring about it because we were using our hub station as possibly using that to monetize the visitor center a little better to support it because it's a lost industry, right? And so that's where I learned about that portion of it. But I've been working. I would love to. I'm very interested in anything you do with that because I was one of the contacts for years with that since I think we started talking Project Thor in 2015.
Okay. Well, Beth Luther would be the best person to talk to.
I love her. I love her.
Yes, because she's kind of in the center.
My little North Atlanta friend.
Yes, I know. Yes. So that's another update. Bighorn Crossing, I'll just give you a quick update on that one. We were able to knock down, well, there's 5 acres that they're now not planning to do anything with. And they left it in a disarray mess. And so there's construction trash, debris, large piles of dirt everywhere. So we had them actually remove all of it.
Okay.
So now, and then they hydro seeded it last week as well. So that now, at least it aesthetically looks better as you're driving through and people could walk their dogs and things like that. They don't have plans right now, but they will develop plans next year, June, July-ish. And so that's the plan. And that is not something I want to talk about because that could change into a million different things. And there's nothing sure about that at all. What is sure is where the townhomes are, right between where their townhomes and Argentine Street, there's a development that they are working on. They're coming back now. They are submitting an application. Well, they have submitted an application. Will go to the DRC. Jerry Dahl, Martin Landers, who was our planning consultant, he actually just resigned from that position. So we're going to be looking for a new consultant. But we did review it and determined that it is allowed to do more residential. According to the funky formula that we have, 50%, that it cannot be any greater than 50% residential in the area because it has to have other uses. Because it's a mixed use area, commercial, open space, and so forth. So because they have the 5 acre site that allows them for future use of other things, so they are allowed to do this one. But what they're proposing is apartments and not, so it'll be apartments that will complement the current townhome look, but they will all be apartments and they're doing micro apartments. So micro apartments would be 400 to 600 square feet, 400 for a single 1 bedroom. 600 for 2 bedrooms. And so that is a model that seems to, I'm hearing more of it as I investigate the towns. That seems to be the model that developers are moving towards rapidly in Colorado. So we just had a development that came called the Roost that tried to reconvert or get it rezoned for Georgetown Lodge, and it was denied, but it was 225 to 275 square feet units. So it's even smaller than what Bighorn Crossing was proposing. That one was denied because of the location, not willing to, we concluded it was not worth getting rid of our commercial to change to residential, since that is once you lose it, you can't get it back. And we are also looking at a code change so that we can have commercial on the bottom, but residential on top. That would be allowable if the code does amend to that, but it would not lose your commercial. This one would have lost the commercial in that area, right in the gateway, right near the roundabout, the heartbeat of our entrance and everything, so that was not approved. We were working on quite a few other code changes and things like that.
Oh, it wasn't approved
It was not
It was
for
not.
micro apartments.
planning next to.
The Georgetown Lodge one was denied, that was a rezone for that.
But for the other one, for the micro apartments,
Yeah, it just was submitted, it'll be on the agenda for the DRC to do the first, once they look at it, then immediately go back to planning and have to work out some more details with
does the
it.
town have the ability to control rent caps?
That's a good question.
Because everybody talks micro apartments, like they're gonna put in all these micro apartments and they're gonna create affordable housing, and all they're doing is just increasing their density without lowering pricing. So it's the same situation that it was before, only it becomes substandard housing for a higher price.
Yeah. The answer is no at this point,
Okay.
because he is planning on market rates, not looking at affordable. We are looking at another code change that may require a percentage of all new development to include affordable housing. We have numbers for that to look at, but it's in the works, and so we are drafting one right now.
Thank you.
The planning commission made the right call, just saying.
So we have quite a few code changes that we're working on. That's the big, oh, and I guess the last one is we are, the Argentine North project is, where we're on, that will be between 22nd Street and 15th, the roundabout. That'll be, a sidewalk on one side, 5-foot sidewalk and a 10-foot bike path on the other side. And we are in the process now of signing the contract from CDOT to receive the funds so that we can then have a engineer that we can contract with to develop the plans for it. Cool. And that's where we're at. Yeah.
How's a special meeting go on the 30th? Yeah, is there any thoughts on?
That's a good question. So the planning commission has approved or recommended to move forward now with an ordinance for long-term. For all vendors who want to do long-term stay, there will be conditions that have to be met in order to do that. So for example, whatever it would be required for code, if it's firewalls, fire suppression system, kitchens, or kitchenettes in these kind of buildings, they would have to sign off. And then there's a lot of other things too, like inspections, weekly or whatever. We tried to do this in 2016 and let the vendors monitor their own. And then we found out that, of course, they were not monitoring, and that's why it brought it back to us. So after a long discussion, it was, they want to move forward. Jerry's going to propose, look at the former ordinance that they were looking at, see if there's any other revisions, but we're going to craft and draft our. We are with Excel. It's been a interesting dance because it involves in so many different parts. You have Georgetown's water supply that's affected. You have the decommissioning process that would affect the museum across the street. And then you have hydrology affecting now the land and more water coming into, it's creating negative impacts on our bridges, on the Rutherford Trail, things like that. And so there's all these, the part that I'm focused on is just the water quality. And then we have other groups that are then spearheading on the other side. Cindy Neely's involved. We have water attorneys and everything else. But we have finally came to the point that Excel acknowledges that they have caused some of our problems. There was a complete denial, deflect before. We're actually moving it apart. They are today taking sampling testing at the Forebay on Quinella Pass. That one is, we had added those as conditions for the watershed protection permit. And they finally agreed on to do that. So they're doing that today. They were supposed to last week, but because of the weather that we had. What will happen next is there's a trash screen that they want to be replaced. It's a 1-inch screen, 1-inch little holes. They want it to be 3-inch holes so that more water can flow through, so they can drain the forebay even more. But this is supposed to let more trash go through instead of blocking it. The problem is more sediment also gets through because it's not going over the spillway anymore. The intake is below and it's stirring up, and as more water flows through it, it's picking up sediment, which is causing damage to our filters that's already damaged and it has to be replaced. So it's a water quality thing. They have agreed to add a plan now to address how to contain the sediment, which says we've been in arguments this entire time about containing the sediment. So they're gonna have to contain the sediment in the forebay and then have another plan of how they're gonna remove the sediment before they completely take out the dam. So that's the plan, is to completely take out the dam and make it back to a natural stream. So, and then that's just one part. Then we have other parts about the museum. We have parts about Rutherford Trail. So there's a lot of other floating things, but we are finally moving in a place where both parties can talk to each other and come to an agreement on things. So,
And that sediment is previously undisturbed mining era sediment as well, right? Which has all of the heavy metal issues and everything else.
yeah, and that's the thing, is we don't know what's in that. It hasn't been disturbed in so long because you're having 15 feet of water on top of it.
Yeah.
And that's the issue, is we don't know what's in it. The sediment is significantly impacting Georgetown now. Every time that it rained in the summer, our plant shut down. And our filter system, the guts in it completely needs to be replaced. It's a $14,000 repair or replacement. So that's a snapshot of all the projects on the town.
All right. Okay. Thank you for the update. Yeah, seriously. All right, so that was our town administrator report. The next item on the agenda is the Business Promotion Commission Chairman appointment. Who's excited?
I am. It doesn't take place until February, according to COVID.
So I still have one more meeting.
Yes, you could.
I feel like I have one more meeting for like 4 meetings. That's about it.
Get excited though. It just helps to build up.
Well, why don't we table this till next week?
Okay, we'll table that until next meeting. And then before we do minutes, we did have an amendment to the agenda today. Steve has submitted his formal resignation from the commission, effective 12/31/22.
All in favor? Deny.
Yeah, guys, I just want to say it's been, very rewarding experience being on the promotions commission for, I think, the last 5 years, including a stint as chairman. It's amazing to come to town and see how it's moved from where it was 5 years ago to now. And I remember intimately all the meetings we've had, participated in, putting websites up, hiring people like Jen. Finally, we got one to stick. Congratulations, Jen. And so I do appreciate the fact that everybody around the table, I feel I've got a great relationship with. My businesses want to be part of the overall community and be a good citizen. So I look forward to supporting anything and everything the town needs to do to keep promoting the town. So feel free to reach out to me going forward.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
We really appreciate everything you've done, even talking me into being the chair after you. But seriously, you have contributed a lot to the commission, and we sincerely appreciate your time and your effort, and you will be missed. So reluctantly, I make a motion to accept this resignation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Godspeed. Thanks for everything.
Is there a party at your birthday?
All right, if we could do a quick, in the minutes, I know it was in here, what, did the 5280 ad come out?
I don't know. Um. I'll get back to that.
Okay,
I just, yes.
I saw, I know it's in the minutes and we approved it, but I hadn't seen it.
It went to, I mean, I cannot, nobody does tear sheets anymore like back in the day. I asked a few goers over the weekend if they saw it. I have not confirmed that anyone has put eyes on that ad. But I do believe that, yes, it did come out, but I will confirm it with my contact there because it was a question brought up over the weekend as to whether or not anybody actually saw that ad.
I hate that they don't do that anymore.
I know. I come from the old world of advertising and I miss that little confirmation.
They don't even forward you, like when they do like a website thing, they don't forward you a screenshot at all either.
It's just like,
It's just, you need to know.
good luck and
Whatever,
hope
yeah.
it's there. Hope
Yes,
everything's-
I'm gonna for them to go get up with you.
Was there any amendments to the minutes?
Just minor little thing.
It's just in the members, removing one person that hasn't been, so.
Okay. Can I please have a motion to approve the November 2nd minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
And amended, as an.
As amended, and a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye,
I'm gonna abstain.
fair enough.
You were,
Yeah, I wasn't a member though, not, the selectmen appointed me, that's technically.
Anything else before we move on?
To what?
The rest of our dates. It is 9:35 a.m. and I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, meeting is adjourned.
I don't abstain.
Jen,
Yes,
I picture you that winter